Is Sonic Generations overrated? Well, for the most part, I'd say yes. But before you jump on me and call me a Gens hater, put down the pitchforks because you should know that I actually do like Generations. I just don't think it's as good as people make it out to be. But in today's video, because of Sonic and Shadow Generations being just around the corner, I thought it'd be fun to talk about why people may just be looking at this game with rose-tinted glasses. Because yes, while it does have its high points, it does have things that let it down. So without further ado, let's talk about Sonic Generations. First of all, the game is rather short. For a game that spans out across the past 20 years of Sonic games, there really isn't that much to show for it. We get the obvious candidates for the game: Green Hills from Sonic 1, Chemical Plant from Sonic 2, Sky Sanctuary from Sonic & Knuckles, as well as various others like Rooftop Run from Sonic Unleashed, Crisis City from Sonic 06, Seaside Hill from Sonic Heroes, the list goes on. But my problem is there's only so many of them. The PC and console versions of Sonic Generations have 9 stages from the mainline games. That includes stages from Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic & Knuckles, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes, Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, Sonic Unleashed, and Sonic Colors. Oh, and 6 boss battles from Sonic 2, Sonic Adventure, Sonic Unleashed, Sonic CD, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. And my issue is that it feels lackluster. When I think of a game that celebrates so many years of a franchise's existence, I think of something like LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. But it's still a game that celebrates a franchise because it includes all 9 movies, even if 3 of those movies fucking suck. I am looking at you, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker. But back to the point. Sonic Generations, for a game that celebrates so much of the franchise, it also celebrates so little of it. This game would have easily benefited from having longer levels, and more levels for that matter. The game has 1 level from each of the 9 games I mentioned, including 1 other for Classic Sonic. But why couldn't they have included more? What was stopping them from including more levels from Sonic 1, more from Sonic 2, or fuck it, more from Sonic 06? Sonic Generations is only about 4 hours long, and if you're a hardcore completionist, it's around 23.5 hours long. So when you compare it against something like Forces, which is around 6 hours long, 27 hours if you're a hardcore completionist, Sonic Generations to me is just too short, because spanning 9 different levels in that time you spend playing the game combined with the boss battles to me just doesn't seem enough. Another problem is the ranking system. It's a common issue brought up with Sonic Generations, and I totally agree. Sonic Generations probably has the worst ranking system. I know the whole point of Sonic games are to get to the goal point as fast as you can without dying or losing rings, but Sonic Generations really takes the cake for making that literal. With Generations, you can take damage and drop rings. You know, take at least 2 to 3 minutes to finish a stage, and you'll still finish with an S rank, which is cool. S ranks are rare for me, but I'd rather go through something more challenging to achieve one, because that makes it feel way more accomplishing. But that's just me. Also, to talk about Classic Sonic, while he is much better here than he is 6 years later in Sonic Forces, Classic Sonic is actually at his worst in this game, which, for a game that celebrates the last 20 years, including the classic games, surely you'd want Classic Sonic to be at his best. One problem that plagues many Sonic games is momentum, but the way Classic Sonic handles in this game doubles down on that with a really overpowered spin dash. Whilst, yes, it is pretty cool to exceed high speeds, it is nowhere near faithful to the spin dash of the 2D games, and for a game that I've stated many times celebrates the past 20 years of Sonic games, surely your main goal would be to remain as faithful as possible to the games that you're celebrating. Also, another problem that I have noticed, and others have noticed it too, is that this game is like 75% 2D, which for a game that is advertised as a 3D Sonic game is quite bad. It's no surprise to me though, because Sega and Sonic Team love their false advertising tactics. I mean, for God's sake, look at Sonic Colors Ultimate. That game was plagued to the brim with problems, seizure-inducing glitches, but the marketing showed a squeaky clean game. But I'm not going to go into detail because SF Productions has a really good video that goes into depth about all the times Sega and by extension Sonic Team misled you into believing that the games are perfectly fine. But back to what I was saying, for a game that is labelled as a 3D game, it has more 2D sections than I have brain cells. And as for the 3D levels having 2D sections, why? This Sonic game has 2 different versions of Sonic. 2D for Classic Sonic and 3D for Modern Sonic. Why do they always feel the need to cross them in between? Why do they always feel the need to add 2D into the 3D stages, especially in this case when they have two different gameplay mechanics for both Sonics. I would understand if Generations was a standalone game and they wanted elements of 2D and 3D in the levels to keep that feel of the 2D side-scrollers, but why they feel the need to do it in a game that has two different playstyles absolutely confuses me. And the fact that they go and do this again 6 years later in Sonic Forces confuses me even more. Keep 2D and 3D separate, especially when the 2D isn't good. I mean, neither is the 3D, but I feel like the classic stages are let down more by the fact that they aren't faithful to the 2D games at all, save for the sections actually just having the one camera angle, because that's pretty much the only thing that they couldn't possibly screw up. And last but not least, the nostalgia pandering. Look, I do not mind it when a game or a movie references something that came before it, but that's when it's done well and isn't the whole point of the story. Sonic Generations, while yes, it is a celebratory game, it relies so hard on content that came before. The way I can describe the nostalgia pandering here is essentially Sonic Team are basically jingling keys in front of you like you are a toddler. They throw these references in and it's like they're screaming to you, remember! Remember! Again, don't get me wrong, I love when you get a subtle nod to a piece of lore in the games or a reference to a previous game, but when it is fully thrown into your face and there's so many of them, it does just feel like you are being distracted by a set of jingling keys, making you ignore the bad aspects of the story or the gameplay. Or Roger Craig Smith's cringy performance. Oh god. I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying that, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. Early Roger Craig Smith was not my favourite iteration of Roger's voice. By no means do I dislike Sonic Generations. I do enjoy it. I think it's a fun game to play if you want to experience the past 20 years of Sonic without playing all the other games. Does it do those other games any justice? Well, that's for you to decide. I think it depends on the stage. I also love the remixed tracks like City Escape Modern, Crisis City Modern, Rooftop Run Modern, etc. They are really good tracks. Crisis City Modern does get a bit repetitive though after a while, but I do still think it's a fun track to listen to. I just personally think that this game is overrated. Am I going to get jumped for saying that? Yeah, probably. But that's just how I feel. In no way am I saying you shouldn't have this game in your S tiers. By all means, do that, but just be aware that people might not agree. I know a lot of people probably let their nostalgia for the series get in the way of their judgment of Generations, and that really shouldn't be the case. Generations, alongside every other Sonic game, has its flaws, and they should be recognised entirely if we are to see any kind of improvement in the future. And luckily, that does seem to be happening. I mean, for God's sake, look at Sonic X Shadow Generations. It's a prime example of Sonic Team listening to the fans. Every time a new teaser drops, we see something we don't like, and they change it. That is a perfect example of listening to the fans, and hopefully we see that more. But how do you feel about Sonic Generations? Do you think it's overrated? Are you like me in the sense that it's a good game, but is let down by some of its flaws? Let me know down in the comments below. But with that being said, I would like to quickly apologise for disappearing off the face of the platform for a month. I initially planned for this video to drop in August, but got caught up in preparing for my second year at college, which is why you are seeing this video in the middle of September instead. If you enjoyed the video and you want to see more videos like Sonic trailer breakdowns, game reviews, or occasional Sonic news, then do feel free to leave a like and subscribe, because most of the time, if I find something interesting like the meaning behind a particular Sonic song, I will probably end up covering it. Also be sure to check out my Ko-fi page. For $14 you can commission me to make renders of Sonic characters like Sonic, Silver, Shadow, and more. Since I don't make any money from making YouTube videos, donating or commissioning me is one of the best ways to support what I'm doing, and it is always greatly appreciated when someone does so. Also be sure to join our community Discord server. We have an extremely accepting small community full of people who are amazing and will accept whatever opinion you have. There is a link in the description and in the pinned comment if you are interested in becoming a part of the discussion regarding the Blue Speed mouse. With all that being said though, keep on speeding and have an absolutely fantastic day.